right. Alrighty. We're here on another episode of JDog Talks. I'm Jerry Nave, and just thank you all for being here and people tuning in. We have a really nice panel here, so I'm really excited. Tomorrow is the opening day of Philadelphia Phillies, their home opener. So we're so excited, and so thank you, and we're going to get right to it. Um, so I want to introduce the panel. First of all, my producer, you can't see him, Gabe. He's unbelievable. If anybody needs any stuff with podcasts or computers, contact me. This guy's incredible. We have from the bottom, we have Phillies enthusiast Gary Sheldon and sidekick. Then we have Phil Kuntz up next, Phillies enthusiast, and obviously Gregg Murphy, special guest. We're so excited, to have you, man. It just thank you
It's
so much for
awesome.
being here. So
Yeah, good to be
yes,
here, guys.
yes, definitely. So just wanted to break down just a little bit about you, Greg. Um, and so let me get my notes. And so basically, and if I'm wrong, let me know, with anything, correct me. So yeah, but yeah, I know if anybody doesn't know Greg, you're a sports broadcaster for, is it Comcast, right?
Well, right now, so I'm a Phillies employee. I'm the
Okay.
pre and post game host on
So it's for
WIP and the
Phillies.
Phillies. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my fault. Yeah, and I know it's and you were born in Meadowbrook. You were raised in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and basically you went to Holy Cross Academy High School, I think.
That's right.
Okay. Yep. And then you graduated St. Joe's.
St.
Uh,
Joe's University. Yep.
yes, University. Yep.
Ah,
And I know accolades. It says you won like some Emmy awards, too. So you did win Emmy awards?
I've won a couple.
That's
Might be
awesome, man.
one behind me. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Do you really? Can you hold it up or not? Can we see it? Or no, I
You
guess
might
it's
be
on
able
the
to see
side.
it
No,
behind me.
it's not. If you don't go crazy, but
Here,
I
here's
yeah,
one.
I don't think I've ever seen an Emmy. All right, that's cool.
oh
Yeah,
Is it
wow,
pretty
so? Is it
nice,
that's
like a
right?
normal
awesome.
Emmy? Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Awesome. You got to put that
awesome.
out. You got to leave it on your desk, man. Right there for the camera.
Well, they're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but
It's good
that's
enough.
awesome. Awesome. Thanks for showing us that. So yeah, and so basically, if you don't mind, Greg, if you can just tell us a little bit, just how you got on, where you are now, just something that you could talk to young kids, encourage them. I know you encourage my kids, Dominic and Alexis, and you came and
Yeah.
helped them. They're still trying to break in to the sports. They've had interviews, but just it's so hard.
It is.
But if you can tell me, just like I said, I know you're local, how, anything that can encourage them, things that happen, breaks, things, just a little bit, you can just freely talk. That'd be great if you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all. I've been very lucky. I mean, in a business like this, I think you do have to have a little bit of luck on your side, and I certainly feel like I have over the course of my career. I went to St. Joe's with the idea of going to law school. I was going to be an
Uh-huh.
attorney, but when I was a freshman at St. Joe's, a buddy of mine decided that he wanted to go and try out to be a DJ on the radio station that St. Joe's was just
Hmm.
starting. So he and I went to this meeting, and I just was kind of going for moral support. And while we were in this room of like 40 people, the radio station was brand new, so they were kind of trying to fill all these different roles. And the guy up at the front of the room, he said, "Well, does anyone have any interest in broadcasting the men's and women's basketball games?" And you could have heard a pin drop. I mean, there wasn't anybody that wanted to do it. They were all kind of music people, and they were all DJs and stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
I was a freshman, and I was like, well, yeah, maybe I would try that. I could try that. And honestly, that's how it started. And about a month later, I was doing the St. Joe's Drexel game at the Palestra. It was my first game, and from that moment on, I was kind of like, man, if I could do this rather than
Right.
going to law school, this would be a lot more fun.
Yes.
And over the years, I did a couple of internships while I was in college, and I met some great people. I interned for a guy named Neil Hartman, which some folks might remember. He was a
Yes.
sportscaster
Yeah.
in Philly, and I
Yeah.
had to go at it. I only went as far as Reading, Pennsylvania. That's as far as I ever had to go. I got a job in Reading, and I
Yeah.
was a sportscaster out there. And then I got back to Philadelphia when I was about 28 years old, and I've been here ever since. So I've been an anchor in the studio, and I've been with NBC Sports Philadelphia I was with them for 25 years. And it was while I was with them that they asked me if I would move over to the Phillies broadcast team. So I did that in 2012, and
Wow.
in 2012 I started as one of the television broadcasters for the Phillies, and then in 2020 I slid over to the radio side of things. So it's unbelievable that it's been almost 30 years that I've been working in this business. I can't.
That's
I
crazy.
have to pinch myself sometimes, but
That's awesome.
I've been very lucky. I think that's
Yeah.
the key word.
Yeah. That's awesome. So it said
That's
you work
awesome.
for the Inquirer. So you did stuff for the Inquirer too?
I hosted a show that the Philadelphia Inquirer used to produce. So it was a television show, but it was called the Inquirer High School Sports Show.
Okay.
And it was actually the first TV I did back in Philadelphia. When I left Reading, I came back to Philadelphia to be the host of this Inquirer High School Sports Show. And I hosted that for 3 years. It was on Fox 29 on Sunday mornings. And over the course of the 3 years that I was hosting that show, I covered athletes like Kobe Bryant. I
Oh wow.
covered LeBron
Oh, wow.
James came to town. Ben Davis, who you may know from the broadcast team, he was a high
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
phenom in baseball. Several NFL guys. So I had a chance to see some great high school talent and tell their stories back then. And then from there, I moved on to what was Comcast and then became NBC. So
Okay.
that's how I made that transition. But yeah,
Right.
back then it was, newspapers were king back in the day,
Oh yeah.
and it was great. It was a great family to be a part of.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. And then you were at in Reading, you were was it WFMZ? And that's
Yeah.
where Phil's very close. You're close to there, right? The station is it FMZ? Reading?
Well, I'm in Lancaster, but yeah,
It's somewhat close, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. And
Yes.
you were there for a little bit, I guess, Greg.
Yeah, I was. I was there. That was my first. I always say real job in television was I used to sell memorabilia on QVC when I was just out of college. That was
Did
that
you
was the
really?
first time I
Oh, that's
appeared.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really just getting on television and just getting a chance to be seen. And then I moved into the Reading Allentown market, and I was a sportscaster there for 2.5, 3 years at FMZ, and that
Hmm.
really taught me the business, taught me how to be a reporter, taught me how to be an anchor in the studio. And then I was able to, kind of take that and the skills I learned there and bring it back to Philadelphia, which was the fourth largest market in the country. So,
Okay.
you know, my dream was always to be a sportscaster. Well, ever since college was to be a sportscaster in Philadelphia. And so when I got the opportunity to come back to Philly, I jumped at it.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
awesome.
yeah, it really is. So yeah, I know I have some more questions before I get to the Phillies questions. I wanted to ask you, so have you ever been next to Ray Denninger on anything? I know you're more Phillies, but have you ever sat next to that guy and
Well, before I was on the Phillies broadcast team, I was working at Comcast Sportsnet and NBC Sports Philadelphia, and I was Michael Barkan's primary backup. So whenever Michael
Oh,
wasn't there
wow.
for Eagles pre or post, I did that, and I would host Daily News Live and
right?
do all those shows. So I worked with Ray thousands of times, probably
Did
over
you
the
really?
years.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, he's tremendous.
Yeah.
He is such a resource and such a, he's on the Mount Rushmore of
Oh yeah.
Philly
No,
sports
he's
guys for
unbelievable.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
But
Yeah.
doubt.
Okay. That's
yeah, but
cool.
Randy, he's also as good of a guy as he is
He
a
seems that
writer
way.
and
Yeah.
a yeah, and his son Dave Dinger is part of the Phillies television
I saw
crew
that.
over at
Yes.
the ballpark.
Sometime.
So
Okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So yeah, do you guys want to ask Greg anything about, just not Phillies right now? Go ahead. Feel free at will, Phil and Gary, if you want to ask them something about, whatever. And then do you guys have any questions for
Well, one
Greg?
of the things I was curious, I know you said in 2025 is when you headed you were kind of doing the stadium thing and going
Mhm.
around and doing from the dugout and from the seats and stuff like that. It looked like that was a lot of fun. Looked like Taryn has been doing that the last couple years now. She's not going to be around. Do you miss doing that, or do you like doing the radio and the pre and the post game stuff? What do you like
Yeah.
more?
Good question.
Well, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I missed it. I really do. Unfortunately, so I had been with NBC for almost 20 years when COVID hit, and when COVID hit, NBC decided to eliminate that field position all across the country. I lost my job that day, as did 25 other people that did baseball across the country for NBC,
Yeah.
and that was also the day Derek Gunn got let go,
Oh wow.
Serena
Yeah.
Oh,
Winters.
wow.
Yeah. So we
Love
were all
Tim.
let
Love
go on the
Derek.
same day
Yeah.
because of COVID. When luckily for me, the Phillies immediately came to me and said, "We want you back in 2021. We're going to slide you over to the radio side of things, and you'll do pregame and postgame and fill in for Scott Fransky." And I was like, "Absolutely, that sounds wonderful." So I made the transition over to radio, and I've loved that ever since. But
Gabe.
the one job that I truly loved in my career was doing the field reporting on television for the Phils. No doubt, it was so much fun. I got to do so many cool things in so many parts of the country. So certainly I miss it. Taryn did an awesome job too, and I know she
Yeah.
loved it, and she'll be missed as well. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
for whatever reason they've decided not to go with that position anymore, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, I was sorry to see you go from the stands and stuff too, because that was looked like a light and fun position to have. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we did have a lot of fun, and working with Tom McCarthy and John Kruk and Ben Davis, and at the time we had Matt Stairs and Jamie Moyer and Chris Wheeler and Sarge. I mean, so many
Yeah.
unbelievable folks that I got a chance to work with. But I'm still with those guys every single day. Tom's desk is there, and my desk is here, and
Yeah.
Scott Francis is there, so we're all still together. We travel on the road together. They're some of my closest friends. So we have a great group that consists of both the TV and the radio side. But
Yeah.
yeah, and who knows? Maybe somewhere down the road I'll pop back up on the television side of things.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you do a great job. I mean, everyone gels together. Obviously, Kruk and everybody. It's so awesome. Everybody gel, and I really enjoy Ruben Amaro. I think he is like unbelievably. Obviously, he was a GM and
Mhm.
everything. He is so knowledgeable. That guy. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable. And
Yeah.
I like everybody. So, but yeah,
it's a
you
good
need to
group.
stay there. You do a great job. Waves with it.
Well,
So
here's hoping.
yeah. Is any Gary? You have any other questions? I'm going to get to like the Philly stuff in a minute. Any other questions for? Uh,
How, it seems like Kruk, he seems like he's like very known there, and how you get along with everybody there.
Yeah. Well, so I get asked about John all the time because
Oh,
he is just such an amazing personality. He is so gifted. He plays the part a little bit of, country bumpkin from West Virginia, but let me tell you, man, he is as
yeah.
smart as they come. He has a memory like you wouldn't believe, and
uh,
he's a gifted storyteller, which is really two-thirds of what we do. Um, and he was also a terrific baseball player on top
Oh
of it,
yeah,
which
yeah,
certainly
yes,
didn't hurt.
definitely.
So John he's a wonderful guy. Behind the scenes, you would be really, I always say this to folks, you'd be really surprised at just how thoughtful of a guy he is. I mean, he's the first guy that's calling you on your birthday. He's the first guy wishing you Merry Christmas. He's the
Wow.
first
that's
guy
cool.
checking in on your kids if something's going on. He's a real special kind of guy. But I can say that pretty much. I can say that across the board with the guys that we have. You mentioned Ruben. You think about the career he's had
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
Philadelphia and everything he's done. Ben was the number 2 pick overall in the draft coming out of high school, which is amazing. Kevin Stocker, of course, on the '93
Oh,
team.
yeah.
Larry Anderson on the '93
yeah,
team, and Scott Fransky's. He's an all-world talent. So we really do have a great group of guys from a talent standpoint, but we also have a great group of guys that we spend more time with one another over the 8 months between February and hopefully late October than we do with our families, to be quite honest. And so if you don't get along, it makes for a long season. But we're lucky that we have the group that we do.
That's
So
awesome.
it is. I wanted to ask you this because I saw Ben Davis cut his leg up with a chainsaw.
He did,
So
yeah.
so that's insane. And then
Yeah.
somebody gave him a toy, a chainsaw toy.
I
I
know.
saw that on, I think it was WIP or something. That's
Yeah,
is
WIP.
he okay?
Yeah.
Did he go to the hospital then? No, or do you know?
He
Or is he
eventually went to the hospital.
that's good. Oh my
Dope
God.
that he is, but I love you, Ben. But you're a dope. Yeah, chainsaw kind of kicked back and hit him in the kneecap,
That's
and he
crazy,
he cut
man.
himself up pretty good. He's still limping a little bit, but he's healing up. It could have been so much worse.
So
So
yeah.
thankfully, he's
So,
okay. Yeah.
so my question is Ben, he's not a poor guy. Does he feel like he needs to maybe like hire somebody to cut the tree down next time? Do you think?
No,
I'm
see,
just
but
saying,
here's the
like, I mean,
thing.
what are you saving? Like, I mean,
It's not
listen,
about the money for Ben. Ben
no.
actually owns a large farm in
Oh shoot.
in Delaware County. I don't know how many
Oh
acres it
wow.
is, but it's a lot. It's like 50, and he works the farm. He
Oh, okay. Well, that makes
absolutely.
sense then. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many pictures I have of him riding in a combine, cutting down his corn, and
Wow.
and
Okay.
and he
Oh
just
boy.
he's baling hay, he's doing whatever. So it's all for him. It's about getting out there and getting his
That's
hands
awesome.
dirty and doing the work. Yeah,
That's
for
awesome.
sure.
Yeah, now I
Yeah,
get it. And I'm going to probably hound you a little bit, not much, but if I can ever get them on here, if they want to do it, I'm just saying it's not on you, but I'll try a little bit anyway.
absolutely.
But so that's awesome. So we're good. Well, I am going to get to how much time do we have left, Gabe?
Hey,
30. Okay,
hey,
yeah. So, yeah, sorry.
Greg. I mean,
Yes,
Ben. So, I used to live down the street from Bobby Wine. Do you remember Bobby Wine?
I
That's a
sure
good
do.
question, Gary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to deliver newspapers to Bobby Wine, and there was one time he said, "Come in and meet my friends." Here it was Larry Boa, Greg Lazinski. I'm like, it was just mind boggling.
And I
Yes.
lived
Steve
down the street from him
Carlton,
too. We both lived like a mile.
Steve
Well, he was like 10
Carlton. I
houses.
mean, it was
Yeah.
just crazy. And
Yeah.
Mike Schmidt, I was just blown away. You know,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
I always say, Philadelphia, and I think even like the Philadelphia Phillies organization is like the biggest small city in America. That's Philadelphia, right? It's kind of like everybody kind of has a connection to everybody else somewhere along the line. And when you meet these guys, I mean, I grew up watching, Larry and Greg Lazinski and Mike Schmidt. Those guys were my guys. I was 9 years old when they won the World Series, and um, I went to high school at Holy Cross. And who was the baseball coach there, but Greg Lazinski. So I was able to play for him for a
Oh
short
wow.
period of time. He eventually cut me, but ultimately I got to play for him a little bit.
Well, that's
But
cool.
then and now I work with Larry Boa on a daily basis, and I see Mike all the time, and I see and these guys. These were my childhood idols, and now I have an opportunity to be with them and be next to them and talk baseball with them. I truly have to, remind myself how lucky I am all the time that I can sit and ask any baseball question I want to Larry Bow or to Charlie Manuel and it's like it's kind of
That's
cool.
awesome.
And I learn
That
from those
is
guys every
awesome.
single day,
You
every
don't
day.
need
That
Google. You
is
have the
awesome.
real deal right
Exactly right.
there. You know what I
You
mean?
got
Right.
the real
That's
deal.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Good question, Gary. I forgot about Larry Boa.
Yeah,
We used to
yeah.
go by his house, and he has this small, cute little house. Like you're like, what is that? He's living there, and he just lives a nice, quiet life, small. And it's like, yeah,
And
Bobby Wine, yeah.
here's one more thing about Larry Bowen. I don't know if you guys know this, but so he's still a special consultant to Dave Dombrowski, right? So he's at the ballpark
Okay.
pretty much every home game, and he's in spring training with us. And he is 80 years old. He's 80 years
Yeah.
old.
oh wow,
You would think he's 60. He is out hitting ground balls. He is out
Really?
throwing
Oh
batting
my
practice.
goodness.
He works the guys just like he did when he was manager 30 years ago.
it's
And
awesome.
the game is in his blood. And I swear, if you didn't know that he was 80, you truly would think he was 60, 65 years old.
Oh
The
my
way he goes
goodness.
around going about his business. So we should all be that healthy at age 80
I
with
hope
the
I'm
way my
Yeah,
like
wife
that
is.
really.
doing
I
that
hope
at 80. I
so.
hear that.
I
That's
hope
awesome
so.
stuff. Awesome stuff. So yeah, so I guess I'll just get to the segment. I'm going to have two questions, and then if you guys want, and then Gary and then Phil, have some questions for. And what do you like better, Gregg or Murph?
Everyone calls me Murph.
So
Okay.
what do you prefer?
We'll call
People
you.
call you.
So I prefer that. My wife even calls me Murph. So it's
Okay.
like,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
because
really?
when she talks about me to other people, no one knows who she's talking about unless she calls me Murph.
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna go
Murph,
back and forth. I'll try to go to Murph, but
all is
yeah,
good. All
yeah,
is good.
yeah. So no problem. Well, good.
We'll
Well,
call you Murph. We'll
yeah,
call you
yeah, no,
Murph.
definitely.
Sounds good.
My first question for the Phillies, exciting Phillies season starting tomorrow. I have a little snippet of Bryce Harper and you, and then I'll just ask the question afterwards, so you guys can
Okay.
tune in and check it out now.
Bryce is still catching his breath, but take me through that emotion. You knew you had it as soon as you hit it. The celebration afterward. Here it comes. Here it comes. How good of a feeling is that?
That was sick. Wow. I don't even know. I mean, that was awesome. Oh my gosh.
Looks so young there.
Yeah, happens to the best of us.
I know.
They get you to the plate. What are you thinking at that moment?
Yeah, Holly's good against lefties. You know, he's always, throw that sinker in, slider down and away, cutter thing that he has. So
They need.
Okay. So yeah, and you said that was what was that one there when you interviewed? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that was 2021, which was Bryce's first. I think it was 21. It was Bryce's first year at the Phillies, and he had just hit a walk-off grand slam against the
that's right.
Cubs, and it was like the first. He had hit, home runs before that. I don't know what number that was on the year. I can't even remember what part of the season that was. Probably about halfway through the season. But he had hit this walk-off grand slam, and it was like that first iconic moment of him in a Phillies uniform. And the great thing about that interview, well, first of all, Bryce is an outstanding interview. I love interviewing Bryce Harper because he's so thoughtful with his answers. He hears your
Oh,
question,
wow.
he listens to your question, and he gives you a thoughtful answer, which
Awesome.
sounds easy, but not all athletes do that, but not all athletes are even capable of doing that, to be quite honest.
Oh.
He has a real knack for the public persona, the way to kind of be the public person that he is. But anyway, that interview it was terrific in terms of the way his energy was and his excitement. And you saw there at the end, they kind of hit him with the water, and he put his arms out like this as the water hit him. And our
Yeah.
photographer at the Phillies, Miles Kennedy, who's amazing, snapped a picture of that moment.
Oh wow.
And I have it blown up in
That's cool.
in
Well,
my house. Yeah,
it
it's
was cool that I had that
yeah.
snippet then
Yeah,
that we got it. Okay.
the water's frozen as it's hitting his back. I'm kind of like backing out of the way, and Bryce just has his arms out like that, and just soaking in the moment. So it's one of the cooler photos that I have, and
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't save a whole lot of memorabilia. I'm not a big memorabilia guy, but that is what I have a few photos that I from my
Yeah.
career, and that's one of them that I have.
That's cool.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. So my question for you is, and I don't want to because I love him, Harper. He's incredible. We know when he's on his game, he's pretty much could be the best in baseball. And so,
Yeah.
but I was a slight bit disappointed last year. I know he had a kid last year, but it just seemed like he was not locked in. He was I don't know what the word is, but I was expecting him to lead this team because in my eyes, everything goes through Bryce Harper if we want
Yeah.
to win. I mean, that's my thought. I mean, you need all the pitching, you need everybody, but it's Bryce Harper. That's why we brought him on, here, and I was just slightly disappointed. I mean, and I know Dombrowski come out and say, he wasn't elite, and that's ridiculous. I mean, I know I know he's trying to get more out of him, but I don't know if he should have said that. And then it seems like he's got a chip on his shoulder now, coming off the classic, fired up. I wish I would have seen a little bit of that more, last year. But I mean, I know Bryce. I think he's going to bounce back again. Maybe it was his kid. I don't know, but I think for me, it has to go through him.
Yeah.
And so, but what do you think about your thoughts about that? If you don't mind.
Well, I think you're right in that I do think we're the best version of the Phillies when it is kind of all, as you said, kind of going through him. I mean, Kyle Schwarber is also an all world talent, and some of our pitchers are as good as it gets. But Bryce is the straw that stirs the drink, so to speak. He's always been that guy on whatever team he's been on since he was 12 years old, and I still believe he is that guy. I think the number one reason he had a down season last year, and believe me when I tell you, Bryce will be the first one to tell you that he had a down season last year, and he's be the first one to tell you that he expects to have, you want to use the word elite or an outstanding or MVP caliber season this year. He totally does believe that about himself.
Oh, yeah.
I also believe he's going to have a bounce back year, but injuries were a factor for Bryce last year. I
Yeah,
mean, he had the
you're
wrist
right.
injury that really kind of hampered him for a good part of the season.
Yeah.
He played through it. He came back from it, but I'm not sure he was ever 100%. So I think that's a big part of it. And at the end of the day, he and several other guys just got cold at the wrong moment in the postseason.
Yeah.
If they had gotten just even lukewarm as an offense, we win that Dodgers series, and we're probably having a much different
Hmm.
conversation. But that's baseball. I mean, baseball's hard, and
Yeah.
you're successful 2.5 out of every 10 times you go to the plate, and you're a pretty good player if you do that. So all of our guys kind of got cold, including Bryce. And until he wins one, until he wins the
Losing
World
Wheeler
Series,
hurts too.
yeah, it's gonna hang over his head a little bit. He knows that. And but mark my words, you said a chip on his shoulder. However you want to describe this season for him, look out, because that's
I agree with
exactly
that.
how you want Bryce.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's it's what I think too. So that's awesome.
Also, the All-Star games in Philly, so I think he wants to be on that. You
No
know.
doubt.
Yeah. Good. You're right,
Yep.
Gary, on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to get in anything because you don't have to go crazy, but my thoughts were last year you needed a spark. You had Bader and they let him go. And, it's just like you needed that spark. He was there, he got hurt,
Yeah.
but I think that you're going to have to make a move in the off season, get one more piece like that, an energy guy in the outfield. I would love to see them go and somehow make a move and get Mike Trout. I know that he's a little older. I don't know. I'm just saying I could just see him in their outfield and his veteran leadership and what he could bring. But I don't know what's going to happen. I hope we don't need anything. But I'm just thinking, to
Yeah.
tie it all in and one more guy, and that an energy guy,
Yeah.
But
Here I'll give you a couple names real quick that I hope, and I do expect might be those energy guys this year that you're talking about. And Harrison Bader was a really nice addition to our team at the end of the year. He really was. He was a
Yeah.
great guy. He did bring that certain level of energy. He was a really good defensive player out there in center field. But Harrison also had the best season of his career. And he's a 29, 30
That's
year old,
true.
not exactly sure how old Harrison is, but he's midway through his career. And it was an opportunity for him to go out and get that big contract, a multi-year big contract. He ended up getting 2 years, but I think some thought he would get 3. And for the Phillies, that just wasn't a fit at that point.
Hmm.
So they knew they had Justin Crawford coming up. They want Justin Crawford to play. And Justin Crawford's done everything at every single level he's been at. Go back and look at his numbers offensively. He's been the best player in each league that he's been in the minor leagues. He's a first round pick, and he's ready to go. I mean, he is ready to
Okay.
go. And I think he will be an energy guy just
Okay.
by like sheer age itself. He's 22 or 23 years old, and he's bouncing off the walls, ready to go to be a major leaguer. And
Speed too. He has
Yeah,
speed.
I think fans are going to love him. And
Yeah.
the other guy that you
Nathan
can look
Miller.
to is no, I was going to say is Otto Kemp.
Oh,
Otto,
okay.
Oh,
now
yeah.
Otto's not a rah kind of energy guy, but man, oh man, he's a good baseball player, and he had a busted kneecap last year for the final month and a half of the season, and he played with the broken kneecap. But that's not Philly. I
Oh,
don't know
wow.
what is.
Jeez.
And so
Okay.
he is back. He is healthy. He's going to be platooning with Marsh, and I think he's going to bring a real pop to this lineup as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. I'm gonna keep it moving. So for me, that I have another snippet on my second question, and I'll let Gary go. If you could play that, Gabe, it's basically if Duran closing.
Atención chimoso, el que quiera perder su tiempo que me aconseje,
Spider.
que estoy en rojo pero feo, y hoy hay que darme banda. For the Phillies, number 59, John Duran.
All right. So
That's awesome.
I can't wait to see the spider. I hope that gosh darn spider's crawling over the freaking stadium, a couple times a week, man. I mean, I call this guy Duran. I know it's Rohan, but does he go by Duran? I don't know. I thought for some. I don't know why I got.
I mean, I
Duran.
think some folks call him that. He got his nickname, the Durantula is how the
Oh, yeah.
spider
Okay.
kind of got
Okay.
connected to him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you talk about a difference maker at the end of the game. The Phillies, for as long as Rob Thompson's been the manager, they've kind of gone closer by committee because they didn't really have someone that was reliable enough. I mean, they had some guys that were good, Alvarado
Yeah.
and others, but no one that kind of took that position and ran with it. And Duran is that guy, and he is going to be closing out virtually every game this year that the Phils are leading in a safe situation. There'll be times where he'll need a day off and someone else will have to take the baseball. But for the most part, you're looking at a guy, he could easily get 45, 50 saves this year. And he's a difference maker in that bullpen. So, and I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys have been in the ballpark when that's all happening yet.
I have yet. I don't know if you guys. I can't wait to go
It's
and
so
see all
cool.
that. So my question is this: if you go back to when the Phillies won the World Series, the recipe for success pitching, and I think their pitching is unbelievable this year. It could be the best it's ever been. We'll see with Keller. But if you can get your starting pitching going 6, 7 innings, and Topper sometimes pulls people, and I'm just like, let's Topper, please let him go to 90 to 95. Like, let's just try to get there, and then you can put Alvarado in there as your setup guy, and back in back when they won it, it was Madsen as your setup guy, and then you had Lidge. You had your recipe for success. So I'm saying is if they can put Alvarado and then or Keller, and then you have Duran, and Topper lets them go 6 or 7 innings, we should be winning these games, 6-7 to 2 or 3. So
I mean, that's exactly what the plan is. But it's exactly what you just laid out is exactly what the plan is. Now, there are going to be 162 games in a long season. There's going to be 30, 40 games where your starter's not going to be able to get out of the fourth inning. And that's just the way baseball works.
Yeah.
It could be Zach Wheeler. It could be Andrew Painter. It could be
Walker.
Christopher Sanchez, but they're going to have games where they don't go deep into ball games. And that's where the rest of your bullpen comes in. But if you're talking about perfect scenario, yeah, you hand the ball to Sanchez. He goes out and pitches 7 strong innings. Then you give the ball to Alvarado or Brad Keller in the 8th. You bring in Duran, and boom, game over. We're all going home, and we're going home happy. And as I said, Rob Thompson hasn't had that guy since he's been the manager, except for the second half of last year when Duran came over. Rob Thompson was with the Yankees when they had Mariano Rivera, and everybody in pinstripes at that point knew if there's a lead and it's a safe situation, Rivera's getting the baseball and game over. And that's kind of how this season should look like for the Phils. Knock on wood, everyone's got to stay healthy. But that bullpen, Brad Keller was as good as anybody last year pitching for the Cubs in the bullpen. So hopefully he can duplicate that. And then you've got the other guys that, the Tanner Banks, the Kyle Backuses, the Ryan Kirkering is going to be a big part of this bullpen. So that's the way the front office is drawing it up. That's why they went out and got the guys they got. That's why they made the trade for Duran. Now the guys on the field have to go out and get the job done.
Awesome. So I'm going to keep it moving. So Gary, do you have a question? And then, for Gregg about the Phillies, and then I want to get
What do you
Phil.
think about Garcia? What do you think he's going to bring to the table?
Yeah. The easy answer is he's going to bring upgraded defense in right field. He's a very good defensive player in right field. He can track the ball well. He can get to balls. He's a big guy, but man, he's deceptively quick. He runs really good routes. He's got a good arm. So he's an upgrade defensively just right off the bat. He has the ability, and we've seen it. We saw it a couple of years ago, to be a real offensive power as well. He slid back offensively last year, but the Phils are hoping that, in working with Kevin Long and the hitting group here, that he's going to kind of refine that offensive side of things too. I think that Garcia will be an upgrade over Nick Castellanos, both offensively and defensively. I think he can book it defensively, but I also think he's going to have a more productive season than Nick did the last 2 years offensively. He's a guy that he could hit 25 home runs for you. And I mean, gosh, think about that, adding that into the 6-7 spot in your lineup, 25 home runs. Most teams would sign up for that in a heartbeat. So
yeah,
awesome.
And also, do you think that Topper would be on the hot seat because of Mattingly being there?
No, not. I don't think the two are related at all. I don't think Topper is and or should be on the hot seat. I think you can make an argument he's a top 5 manager in the league, but at the end of the day, managers are going to be judged on what their players do on the field, and that's just the way it is. Rob doesn't have a whole lot of control once the guys go out there and are doing their thing, but that's the way it works in baseball. They always say you get hired to get fired. So I don't think that he'll be on the hot seat because I think we're going to win 90 plus games again. And most managers that win 90 games hang around for a while.
I love Topper. So
yeah. And the Mattingly situation is more Rob Thompson kind of actively campaigned to get Mattingly here. It's not something that they brought in and said to Rob, here's your replacement, so watch out. It was Rob Thompson saying, man, I could use a guy like that. I mean, he knows
That's
him
awesome.
from their Yankee days, and they have a very good relationship. And so I think adding in Mattingly on our staff, Mike Calitri sliding over to a different role. But Mike was invaluable in a lot of the things that he did too. But having a guy like Don Mattingly who's done it at such a high level, I mean, that can't hurt your team at all.
No.
And I've had a chance to talk to Don a couple of times in spring training, and he's excited to be here, and he's pretty excited about the guys that he's going to get a chance to work with too.
Awesome. So, Phil, go ahead. You had your ask some questions there. Go ahead.
Well, I kind of wanted to ask about the bullpen too, because the bullpen's been a focus the last couple of years. Uh, I pitched at Millersville University. Now we have Tim Mazes, so I took a
Yeah.
particular interest in him. With the Phil coming over the Phils last year, and then ultimately making the team this year. I think you answered some of those questions about the bullpen, and we can only hope that this is the year they step up and do it with
Yeah.
the help of the Durantula and the people that we have there. I guess the question I have too is, do you think that Schwarber can have another season like he did last year, hitting so many home runs? And he really hit much better than the previous couple years too with the batting average. He
Yeah.
seems to be coming into his own now and really doing well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Kyle to kind of repeat exactly what he did a year ago. I mean, he did have, short of Shohei Ohtani, he had the best offensive season in baseball. So, is he going to hit 56 home runs again or whatever? Yeah, I think he finished with 56. I don't. I think that's a tough prediction for sure. But is he going to hit 40? Yeah, I think he's probably going to hit 40.
Yeah.
And to your point, he made a real commitment to cutting down on the strikeouts and taking his walks when they were there, and hitting for a higher average. I think he would tell you that when he was hovering around 205, 210 a few years back, that was embarrassing to him. That's not the kind of player he wants to be. He wanted to be, a guy that could hit righties and lefties and get on base and hit home runs. And I think he's put so much work in that there's no reason to think that he's not going to have another terrific season. So, 40 plus home runs, yeah, perhaps. Hit 250, yeah, score a lot of runs, knock a lot of runs in, absolutely. Yeah, I think the Phils are lucky to have him back for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Phil, you have anything? Any other question? And we're still
No, that's good. I appreciate it.
yeah.
You got it.
I'm going to give Murph a break with his voice so he can save it for broadcasting tomorrow. So yeah, well,
Real quick, I want to ask one more.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Walker? You know, and Painter. So, what do you think about Painter over Walker? And if Painter doesn't do good, would they stick Walker in there when Wheels comes back or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that remains to be seen. I mean, certainly when Wheeler comes back, I think Taiwan Walker will slide into the bullpen and assume that role of long relief, or perhaps they end up going with the 6-man rotation for a short period of time. I mean, that's a possibility too. I think the thing about Taiwan Walker, and he had a real tough season 2 years ago. There's no way. I mean, again, he's the first to tell you, these guys are self-aware. No, Taiwan's not at home thinking to himself, "Nah, I was a lot better than the fans are saying I was." He's not. He's not saying that. He knows he had a tough year. Now, last year he had a real decent season. If you go back and look at his numbers, he was pretty good for the Phils. And if you take him and compare him to number 5 starters across the National League, I think you're going to end up taking a Taiwan Walker probably more than any other number 5 starter in the National League. Maybe the Dodgers number 5. You would give him the nod. So he slides in as the 5 until Wheeler comes back. But I think Taiwan is going to be a big part of what the Phillies are going to try to do this year. Painter is an interesting story. You just don't know, right? The kid's got
Yeah.
all world talent, and everybody that knows the game of baseball will tell you, watching him, he's special and he can be special. But doing it at the big league level, having never done it before, you just don't know until they do it. And I think everyone feels very confident that he's going to be really, really good. And maybe by the end of the year, we're not talking about him as a number 4. We're talking about him as a top of the rotation kind of guy. But the beauty of the Phil's rotation is they have 3 or 4 guys that you can talk about at the top of the
Yeah.
rotation. And so where they slot and who's getting the bulk of the starts and this and that kind of stuff's just going to play out. No one's going to stay healthy the entire year. Everyone's going to need to reach back and tap some different guys from the bullpen or the minor league system or what have you. the Phillies are deep in pitching, and having a guy like Taiwan is an absolute luxury for this team, in my opinion. And I think he's going to have some pretty good moments this year, and hopefully right out of the gate. Because he's going to be asked to take the ball as a starting pitcher right out of the gate until Wheels is healthy. So
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Thanks.
yeah, I was going to say, if you guys hang on, a minute, but I'm going to start to wrap up everything. So again, I appreciate you coming on, everybody. And Greg, I mean, you could tell you love talking
I
Phillies, and
do.
your stuff, but it's
Yeah.
like comes out, like
It's
you can
awesome.
see it. It's awesome. You're getting me fired up for the season, man. Especially for tomorrow, I'm getting fired up. So I'm hoping they're going to do really good too. And yeah, I'm
We
hoping.
hope Knowles has a better year too.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I expect he will. He had a down year last year, and
Yeah.
he knows that. And we saw that. He's looked pretty good in spring for sure. He looked good in the World Baseball Classic. So
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah,
all
he did.
positive signs. But yeah, he's got to go out and he's got to do it. He's got a lot to prove to himself. I know that he's still one of the better pitchers in baseball. So he's going to take the ball on Saturday, game 2, and
Okay.
hopefully. Yeah, I don't think the weather's going to be all that. I think it's going to be chilly that day, but other than that, it'll be fun to watch him for sure.
So
Yeah.
who's going to start? Sanchez? Who's on the
Yeah,
Sanchez.
Sanchez will
Sanchez,
start
okay.
Thursday. Then it'll go Nola, and then Luzardo, and
Okay.
then
Luzardo, that
yeah,
guy, he's
yeah.
going to be incredible.
I mean, another terrific guy that is a number 1 on a lot of teams in baseball.
Yeah.
He slots in as our number 3 if you want to assign numbers to them.
Yeah.
But it's just nuts.
And
So
who's gonna start like bat first and Stott, or who's gonna
no,
who are
it'll
they?
be Trey Turner's. I mean, presuming that Rob sticks with what he went with in spring, I think it's going to be Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Bohm,
Okay.
and then we'll see from there. But the last game of spring training, he had Stott in the 5 hole and Garcia in the 6, Real Muto in the 7, and who am I missing?
Marshall. Or you said Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to go
Yeah, it's
back.
okay. You
Oh,
got
Mark. He had Marsh in
Marsh,
the
yeah.
8. Yeah.
Marsh.
So
Okay.
Oh, and then Crawford.
and then Crawford
Yeah,
9.
Crawford,
So
yeah.
so that was the lineup he went with on the final day of spring training.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
yeah, he
That
seemed to intimate that would probably be the opening day lineup. So, you have JT Realmuto batting 7th. You have a guy like Brandon Marsh batting 8th against right-handed pitching. Otto Kemp batting 8th against left-handed pitching. And then you have the young kid Crawford who can drop a bunt down and get on almost at will. It's a pretty deep lineup. And again, so much of it is about health and staying healthy and kind of getting, into a groove and rolling. But I always say, I think fans in any sport can only hope that at the beginning of their season that their team has a chance. And this Phillies team has a chance to win it all. It's hard to win it all. Takes a little luck. Takes a lot of different things. But this team has a chance, and there's probably only about 8 or 9 teams that can say that. So I think that as a fan, we just got to now enjoy the ride and hope it ends in a parade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was, like I said, I appreciate all the questions and I appreciate everything.
Thanks,
Greg.
Murph, for
Yeah, it was good
all
to
the
talk to you
great
guys.
information.
Yeah, and go Phillies. But hang on 1 minute. But yeah, go Phillies, man. And we
Yeah.
hope to have you on our podcast again during, whenever you have time
Yeah,
again
that'd
in
be
the year.
awesome.
And I guess that's a wrap.